It's wonderful to be together today. This is the last in the series of talks on the Heart Sutra, and we're particularly going to focus on the mantra. But just to say, we've been contemplating this prayer since the beginning of March. And so I want to congratulate everyone for staying with it. I know it's not an easy subject, and to the degree that you're able, taking it in with a curious mind and showing up, not rejecting it. When we take the Bodhisattva vow, there's actually one small aspect of the vow that is not to teach emptiness to people who are unprepared, because if they reject emptiness or are afraid of emptiness, and choose not to be curious about it, then it's your fault. So I hope it's been a gentle enough teaching that you feel you can dip your toe in the water without rejecting it and maintain a curiosity about it. It's also a blessing to complete a whole text. So we've done it as thoroughly as I'm able to do it. And with today, we will have completed the full text as translated by Thich Nhat Hanh. And the significance for our Sangha is understanding emptiness, and by emptiness, we are talking about interbeing, boundlessness, interpenetration, our interconnectedness. This is one of the hallmarks of Buddhist teaching. It's called one of the four seals. And for us to go deeper into any practice, there has to be at least an orientation as to the view that is an underpinning of bodhicitta, of our shamatha practice, of any Vajrayana practice. It's encountered in every teaching that you will read when you study any text on Buddhism. And particularly as we started during COVID with compassion training with Shanti Deva's Bodhisattva Guide, and then the Lojong and the mind trainings, until we have, or beginning to be at home with, the view of ultimate bodhicitta, or the vast mind inseparable from emptiness, wisdom, and compassion, we can't go further in understanding bodhicitta. So we had a wonderful retreat last weekend, and we were focusing both on shamatha and tonglen practice. But as we were going deeper into tonglen, it was very clear that when there is a fruition of tonglen, or when there's a fruition of loving kindness, any separation between all of life and the awareness perceiving all of life starts to dissolve. And there is simply nothing other than the wisdom, compassion, emptiness, awareness. There's even a term called the emptiness of emptiness, so we don't get attached to any kind of sense of emptiness as a definition or an object. So as Karl Brunholzl said, this mantra at the end is both the beginning and jumping off the cliff. So jumping off the cliff into pure wisdom and love without any boundaries. If we think about what it's like do have no boundaries. The definition is no reference, and self and other is a reference. So I'm thrilled that we've made a start, and again, I encourage you to be tender and patient. It's something one realizes. The direct perception of emptiness comes in your deep cave retreat days. It's not something that we're jumping into right this second, but we need to know that is the view that underpins everything. So the mantra, gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, is considered connected to the very beginning of the Heart Sutra. In the very beginning of the Heart Sutra, the Buddha is in deep meditation and doesn't say a word. Avalokiteshvara, or Chanrezig, is questioned by Shariputra, how does a bodhisattva practice? And sitting in the resonance with the Buddha's samadhi, Avalokiteshvara's ignorance drops away, and he has a direct insight. And that insight gives rise to the body of work called the Prajnaparamita, which is condensed into this pith version of the Heart Sutra. And it's this insight, essentially, that is the mantra. And there is a blessing outflow of syllables blessed by the samadhi of the Buddha, Teyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. So we speak of mantras as these kinds of blessed syllables that are mind protectors, in the sense that if our mind is on the Prajnaparamita, we are not pulling ourselves deeper into ignorance. So it is the sound blessing of the Buddha's samadhi, Teyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. And they're very simple clues, as well as profound commentaries on the mantra itself. So the simplest is a direct translation of the Sanskrit words, Teyata, or thus, Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha, gone, gone, completely gone, gone beyond, awake, thus it is. And if you think about that, essentially it's describing the path. We're moving beyond our limited perspective, going a little bit further, letting go of the ignorance and the references of ignorance, and then going beyond even the word enlightenment, the word Dharma, the word Buddhist, awake, Soha, awake, thus it is. And Pema Chodron shifts it to open, open, completely open, open beyond, awake, Soha. So there are these lovely path translations, and in many ways, it's a matter of perspective. So, since we've been working with it visually all this time, I can't resist having one last slide from, this is from this week's Dawn Contemplations. So here we are, and on the right side of the slide our passionate emotions, the cloud cover of ignorance. There's a perspective of everything covering clear vision, and on the left side, clear vision. So that was my illustrated Prajnaparamita this week. And then there's a very evocative thought of the other shore. And from that perspective, here we are looking at our sense of reality, but it's obscured by clouds. The cloud falls away and we have greater clear seeing, but we're still looking through the eyes of the ignorance of samsara. And what we see is the other shore. So the perspective of the bodhisattvas is the other shore, looking at suffering samsara. I couldn't resist the last couple of slides. So I think there are these metaphors that help us see that it is a presentation of path that sort of upends the way we have seen reality all of our life. On the other hand, we can see that in our studies, slowly we see, no, it's not about the enemy. It's about how we're holding our own mental space. It's about how we generate compassion. And then as we go deeper in our training, the philosophical studies, our meditation experience, the teachings we receive start to support each other in a process of unfolding. And we begin to see how we're limited and search for ways to remove those limitations. And as we're searching for ways to remove those limitations, it goes back to the view or philosophy, hearing the teachings and practicing. And every time those are united, we're a little bit more open. Some of our ignorance has receded, and we are becoming a little more awake. And that's really the beauty of the prayer and the mantra. In many ways, it's a mind protector because the second we're in trouble, it helps us get out of the emotional state and reflect on what are the Dharma teachings that calm our minds, that help us see impermanence, that help us see interdependence, and finally help us see that it is possible to let the illusion of separation fall away. There's a wonderful quote by Karl Bernholzer that I used to save as a kind of koan. I go back to it, particularly when there were interpersonal difficulties. No point in fighting. You are all surrounded by yourself. Give up the surroundings, don't defend your headquarters, and conquer the citadel of self-surrender. So that in many ways reflects a Dharma teaching for this time. I'm going to repeat it. No point in fighting. You are all surrounded by yourself. The Bodhisattva is practicing this complete pervasion of bodhicitta, and the Heart Sutra is helping deconstruct the ignorance that creates the separation that prevents the pervasion. You are all surrounded by yourself. Give up the surroundings, don't defend your headquarters, and conquer the citadel of self-surrender. So, referring to some of the great minds of our time, their pith instructions on this mantra, Khandro Rinpoche, Teata simply means it is this. It is simply as it is. Gate means to go. Gate is go, go. Paragate, go beyond. And then to go beyond what? To go beyond one's expectations, beyond one's habitual tendencies of elaboration, beyond a linear perspective, beyond agendas and ambitions, even spiritual nirvanic ambitions. Parasamgate is to go utterly beyond. Bodhisoha, perfection as it is. When you say the mantra, Teata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisoha, what you are telling yourself as a meditator is to just go and rest in the nature as it is, beyond the elaborations of the insecure tendencies and habits of a mind contaminated by its own perfections. Then from, I believe, Geshe Sonam Rinchen, Teata thus, Om. Om is an abbreviation of Oma Hung. Om starts many mantras, and many mantras conclude with Hung, but it's the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. So this is a practice interpretation of the mantra. Gate again is gone, but it's reflecting the aspect of the path of willingness. So here we are, willing to learn the Dharma, willing to let the Dharma permeate into our lives, into our actions. There's a quality of open-mindedness, and we have aspiration bodhicitta and action bodhicitta. So this is, as we're moving towards bodhisattva perspective. First, there's the willingness, and then the gate is readiness. Okay, we have met the first stage of the bodhisattva mentality, and now we're ready to directly understand and experience emptiness, a direct truth of it. Previously, we've seen in terms of mental images or words, but now concepts recede, and subject and object merge. Conventional reality and intrinsic experience fade away, relative and absolute meet. Paragate, supremely gone, freedom from karmic rebirth, freedom. This is the actual achievement of sameness of self and others, or non-duality. The perceiving awareness and that which is perceived are like water poured into water. They are of one taste, inasmuch as the meditator is no longer aware of any distinction between the awareness and the object. Nothing new is added. Parasamgate, perfect going, vast open equanimity, final obscurations are removed, relative and absolute are a single cognitive event. Bodhisoha, no more learning, enlightenment, so be it. From this perspective, everything before the mantra is a contemplative manual, rational, analytic, conceptual. The mantra is where we jump off the cliff, leaping into the experience of the path. I love the phrase from Karl Bernholzer's quote. I asked him where the quote was from, and he was too shy. So my understanding is it's his own practice experience coming as this essentially song. No point in fighting, you are all surrounded by yourself. So let's really just take this in, the move from the analytic to the experiential, trusting that we are in the willingness stage and that everything unfolds in its own time. But we have a sense of what will support us to realize not just our partial potential, but our full potential. Teata om gate gate, paragate parasamgate, bodhisoha. Teata om gate gate, paragate parasamgate, bodhisoha. Teata om gate gate, paragate parasamgate, bodhisoha. In the Tibetan version, there's a final paragraph, in essence, with the Buddha emerging from his samadhi and saying, yes, Avalokitesvara, thus it is, thus it is. You've explained it just right. This is how a bodhisattva practices, and the whole assembly rejoicing. And the legend is then, having had this resonance with Avalokitesvara's blossoming and Shariputra's question, then this teaching was considered something that needed to percolate and re-arose several hundred years later with the dawn of the second turning of the wheel, Mahayana Buddhism. Now in our time, it's considered so perfect a teaching that it's recited across all forms of Buddhism when there's a more clear understanding of the significance and gifts of each of the eras of Buddhism, creating a wholeness for contemporary practitioners. So, assembly rejoicing. Let's dedicate for those folks on YouTube, and then any qualities of rejoicing or reflections. Bodhicitta, excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise, where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.